If dreams die, rely on yourself and no way. Believe.
Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a good night's sleep. I finally did have a good night's sleep. I actually fell out quickly, stayed asleep for more than 6 hours, which is good. That is big for me. So I'm actually feeling fairly rested today. So that's a plus. Um, my doctor's appointment is right after the show, so it's not going to be super long, no hour and a half like yesterday. Um, so just be aware of that. So I'll be leaving here momentarily. But the topic today isn't necessarily one that's going to need a whole lot of deep diving to answer. Does God still do miracles? Is the question. And of course, I'm answering the question based on the context of their question. Okay. Not just answering the question overall about miracles, I'm answering the question based on how they have framed it. So, this is how they framed it. Okay. If God is constantly curing illness through prayer and faith healers, why can't he regrow an arm or a leg? You never see that happen. Also, it seems that the cure that we are told do happen are always internal and therefore unverifiable. If he really loved us and wanted us to believe in faith healers, why doesn't he command his faith healers to go to the hospitals and heal the people there? Um, there are a couple of issues with the entire concept. Okay. There's a couple of issues with the entire concept. Um, the biggest one being that God wants us to believe in faith healers. That's I don't know where people get that one from. Like, um, I don't recall him saying to believe in faith healers. I don't even recall him being listed in the book. I didn't even know where we got that term from anyway. Faith healers. Do you heal people's faith, or do you heal by faith, or you got to have faith to be healed, or you got to have faith to heal? I don't know what exactly they mean by faith healers. I mean, I know it's a propaganda tool. I can see that definitely. I can definitely see where that could be um, used to gather people to yourself, like God's anointed. You know that term? They use that a lot, but it always seems to refer to God's anointed as some people that's looking to get your money. I don't. Yeah, I don't recall anything being called a faith healer. I know that God heals, and He uses people to sometimes accomplish that, and sometimes He doesn't use people at all. Sometimes He just does it, and there's no requirement of somebody touching you or laying hands on you or praying on you or putting oil. He doesn't require any of that because He doesn't need you to do it. He just does it if He wants to do it. So there is no faith healer required to go to the hospital. Um, what do you? Not quite sure what that means. Like, what? What? Was I asleep? I didn't know I was asleep. I didn't. Okay. Um, so let's break down a couple of things with the question as usual, and see if we can hopefully make sense of what they were asking. Um, I'm assuming that her question meant that I got a good night's sleep and I'm finally awake. I'm assuming that's what she meant because I said that. So I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to go with the other thing I'm thinking that she might have been saying. I'm going to assume that's not what she meant. Okay, so if God is constantly curing illnesses through prayer and faith healers, why can't he regrow an arm or a leg? He can regrow an arm or a leg. He can, if he wants to. I have heard multiple stories of him regrowing arms and legs. I have heard multiple stories of people dying and coming back too. I've heard those stories. I have not witnessed anything with my two eyes, but I've heard stories. Believable? Yeah, of course it's believable. If God can do anything, why wouldn't it be believable? But I'm not going to attribute the happening of it to a faith healer or a man. I'm not going to say it's needed. A man isn't necessary at all for any of God's miracles. I have heard personal testimonies from people that say they have seen it, and I have no reason to distrust them. I also have no reason to distrust God can do it. It's His bodies. Um, the odd thing, though, it doesn't happen often in places of comfort. This is where we're going to go off the rails to upset the religious Christian people. I just want you to understand that where we're going to go with this is kind of off the beaten trail from the atheist point of view to the Christianese thing. I'm warning you now, okay? A lot of these miracles happen in places of discomfort where there is not much leisure. You don't have a whole lot of abundance. Why is that? Because a lot of those places have to depend on God. And there's a difference between depending on God and having to depend on God because there's nothing else to depend on. And when that happens, there is no assurance that you can do anything or anyone else can. And the only place you're looking to for help is from Him. I know for a fact that the reason that we hear of all these things from third world countries and the culturally unaccepted places on earth, or the places where modern society isn't accepted or practiced, is because they don't have the ease, comfort, and distractions that we do. You remember some time ago, I said that I believed that um, modern medicine is witchcraft. Remember, I said that, and people were all over me about why you go to the doctor and blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't God use evil and all that stuff? I will break down further what I meant because I wasn't willing to go into it on that broadcast because that wasn't the point of the broadcast. I will tell you what I mean. It is not witchcraft in the act itself, the knowing of the body. The witchcraft comes in the dependence on it. The witchcraft is in the dependence on it. Where you decide that doctors are gods, therein enters the witchcraft. Of course, man can figure out the body. Of course, man can name anything about the body. He did it with Adam. He told Adam to name all the animals. I got no problem with the doctors knowing how my body functions and telling me when something is wrong. What I have a problem with is where they tell me only they have the answer to my bodies. That is witchcraft. So telling me don't go to the doctor when you get sick then. And if I don't go to the doctor when I'm sick, I didn't go to the doctor for years when I tore my shoulder up. I did that with both my shoulders. I didn't go to the doctor. I get sick. I don't go to the doctor. I have to be really dying, passing out, falling down sick to go to the doctor by force. I went to the doctor for my back. to see if they can see what's going on in the inside. And a clown would say, see, that was witchcraft, but you do it. No, I don't depend on them. I've told you over and over that my dependence is on his timing. It's on his timing. If he wants to do a miracle of healing my back, he will. I've asked him. I'm not going to keep asking him, though. He knows my request. I have told him, this is what I have told him, that I don't care how much it hurts. That's not going to stop me from doing what you asked me to do. Anyway, I want to be on up front with him in my heart and out loud that I am not going to let whatever is going on in my body to stop me from doing what he asked me to do. Now, if after that point, God, you want to heal it fully, heal it fully. If it should remain, let it remain. But I'm also going to do my due diligence to see exactly what might be wrong. Now, just because I know what's wrong doesn't mean I'm going to take the doctor's approach to it. People tell me, get surgery, get surgery. Or, hear me out, I could find out what's wrong and not do anything and let him do what he's got to do. Understand, I am not a proponent of modern man being my God. And that is what doctors propose to be today. Miracles are still done by God. And he will sometimes implement those miracles by way of a doctor going in to do something and they did it and it had a 0% chance of being successful and it was successful. That is also a miracle because they said it was a 0% chance. You never see that happen, they say. Also, it seems that the cures that we are told do happen are always internal and therefore unverifiable. Last time I checked, cancer was internal, and it can also manifest itself in the appearance of the person, the fatigue, the tiredness, and it is quantifiable by a lot of metrics with scientific proof, right? You can see cancer cells. You can see the cells are infected. You can see the damage done. That's verifiable. So when someone is healed of cancer and doctors have no clue how the cancer went away, that too is verifiable where you no longer see the things that you verified before. So don't tell me that an internal healing is not verifiable. It's very verifiable. Like if I woke up tomorrow and I told you, my back feels great. I don't feel any pain. Yeah. I could lie because I know how to hide pain, but I could lie and say it doesn't hurt. And every once in a while you see me wincing and like, hang on, I thought you said it was healed. So what is the purpose of the miracles? What does it do for anyone? We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. If he really loved us and wanted us to believe in faith healers, he does not want you to believe in faith healers. Nowhere at any point in time, not even in history, does he ever say believe in anything called a faith healer. Not one time. Never has, never will tell you believe in a faith healer. I have no idea where people get this stuff from. Like I don't even know where they could possibly drag that out of the book from. Why doesn't he command his faith healers, because he doesn't have faith healers, again, to go to the hospitals and heal people there? Because he is quite capable of doing all of that by himself. He doesn't need a faith healer. He doesn't even need a doctor. So you're trying to tell me if I don't have enough faith, I won't be healed? People are going to say, what about the woman with the issue of blood? What did the woman with the issue of blood do? Did she go to a faith healer to have faith in Jesus? Or did she go straight to Jesus and touch him? But there's a big difference, people. There's a big difference. So it brought me to a place of trying to figure out whether or not the Bible speaks about miracles in the last days and all that stuff. And there was one particular verse that jumped out at me that didn't seem necessarily to fit at the time, but it did. And it fit in more ways than I thought it would. And it kind of took me from the emphasis on miracles to something before the miracle. And it was crazy. So I'll read it. This is in First Corinthians, okay? Corinthians 13. Most of you know it. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I have become a sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and can understand all miracles and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, faith healer, it's mentioned, so I can remove mountains, but I have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love is long and is long, suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy, does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not have behave rude. It does not seek its own, it's not provoked, it thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoice in truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it'll vanish away. For we know in part, we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Now we see through a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I am known. Now abides faith, hope, love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. So it brought back all these sermons I've heard over the years about that passage, only to realize that none of the explanations that they gave for that verse actually was about that verse. Every last one of them missed the very crux of the entire passage. And until I got that, I was pretty much just kind of floundering around in that passage. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. There is a embodiment of love. There's a personage. There is love is not just a feeling or an application of a thought process or an action. Those are results of love. But love is a person. Love is God, right? Love is God. That is the part that missed me for a long time. Because today we describe love your neighbor and love this as me being loving, me behaving in a loving manner me doing stuff for the person to exemplify my love, loving others. Love always seems to come from a location of self, it feels like, in today's church, in modern day Christianity. It's always about me being God's love, not God's love being itself through me being God's love. And we put ourselves as the example. But that's not what the verse is saying in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It didn't say if I don't practice love, it says if I don't have it, if I don't possess it. So obviously, it's something that isn't me. If it isn't me, then there's no way for me to love anyone. I could do a whole myriad of things and I don't have love. So let's go to how does that apply to the miracle thing? Because miracles are only an expression of something. Miracles are an expression of what? God's love. It's another form of his expression of love, an expression of who he actually is. So when we start looking for miracles to empower our faith in him, you're looking for a result of something that you should have already had before the miracle showed up. The miracle is not what should prove God's love, like at all. The miracle happens after. You see, what a lot of the people in the other countries, they don't have the distraction of themselves as love. They only have to look as far as outside to see that they have nothing. And the only thing they can depend on is something outside of them. In our society, we have become so dependent on man's ability that even if he saw a miracle today, here in the modern world, you would ascribe it to something else. So, what is the point of him doing anything miraculous? Okay, so let's describe miracles. Why is it that a miracle is only included when we talk about healing? What else is a miracle? A miracle. Let's go to the definition. Okay, man's definition of miracle: an event that appears inexplicable by the laws of nature and so is held to be supernatural in origin or an act of God. Okay, now in that basic definition, it says nowhere in there that it has to be a healing. I'll give you an example of a miracle to me. It is a miracle I am still here today. That's a miracle. It is a miracle that I am doing what I am doing right now. That is a miracle. I have seen a miracle in my children. There are tons of things that he shows himself in that we don't want to see because what we're looking for him to prove himself is not what he has decided to use to prove himself. and he does not have to prove himself the way you want it. Therein lies our biggest problem. We have always tried to put our definition of things on God when he's the one that created it. In verse 4, it says, love suffers long and is kind, and love does not envy, which is all definitions of who God is. Love does not parade itself, it's not puffed up, it does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Does that sound like a man accomplishable thing? All of those things are in an individual because they are all describing God. If I don't have God and I try to speak in tongues, which you can still, it's nothing. I can prophesy all day long, and if I don't have it with God, it's nothing. I could be smart, nothing. Now, here's the next crazy part. Listen to this. And though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. There are tons of people that have a massive amount of belief and faith and all kinds of stuff. You know what? Goodbye, Whoa, Vicky. We got no time for your advertising at all. Um, but here's the thing, you having all of that faith means nothing in the grand scheme of thing if you're not placing it in the proper context. You've heard stories of people overcoming gunshot wounds that should normally be fatal to escape a region and get to safety and live. And they tell you, I just had faith making it through there. I had a faith in myself that I was going to make it out. That is the type of faith that could move mountains, but it had nothing to do with God. There was no belief, no trust in God at all. It was all self. It's a powerful tool. It can't save you, but it sure can help your mortal coil out. That's a lot of faith. That is a lot of faith. But without God, it's nothing. Without love, it's nothing. It might be something to you, but in the grand scheme of things, where it should place is not even on the countdown. That's the value of having God. There'll come a time where tongues, prophecies, all that stuff is not going to do a thing for man. We're already there. I don't know if you realize it, but we're already in the place where not even if tomorrow someone got their leg chopped off in the street and somebody went over, grabbed the leg, put it back, and attached it again, they would call that a miracle of medicine. Or they would come up with some reasoning as to why it was possible that isn't related to God. And even if they were to say this was a miracle from God, people still would not believe. Want proof? How many miracles did Jesus do in his time? And what was the end result of his life? How many miracles? Just give me three. Give me three miracles that Jesus did while he was not in quiet and in private, tangible, obvious, blatant miracles, and not a single person in the group except for maybe one or two. Okay, I'll give you two people saw it and were like, wow. The majority of the times he did a miracle, the person he did the miracle for and him were the only two that were really grateful. The rest of them, they said they saw and believed. That's the extent. No elation, no flipping over like, wow, he just did. No, it was just, oh, they saw and they believed. And you expect today, where you don't have Jesus walking around the earth, you're going to believe that they're going to attribute a so-called miracle to him, and that's going to help you believe. No, it won't. It won't. You see a man pick up dirt, mud, can see. You lower a man through a roof and heal him, and it's nothing. And like, come on. Even at his death, even at his death, when there were dead people raising from the ground and walking through the city, that wasn't enough to persuade people. You know that clown is dead. You know he's dead. You know for a fact that your uncle died last week, and you see this brother walking down the street, and you still don't believe it. That's today. So my question isn't necessarily do miracles still happen. My question to you then would be this: what difference would a miracle make in your life? What difference would a miracle make between your disbelief of God and your belief of God? What difference would it make? Wouldn't make a single difference to you. It wouldn't make a single difference to you. You don't really care whether or not God performs miracles. Because even if he did do a miracle, you're not going to say, well, that's the kind. See, like when he does something internal, that's inside. Do something on the outside. Oh, well, that could be explained. I mean, come on. I mean, that could be explained by something else. I'm not looking for a miracle from God in my body, because the biggest miracle that could have ever happened has already happened. And that is the acceptance into his family after being what I was. That's the biggest miracle. And that's the miracle most aren't willing to take, because why? It's not external enough. It's not external enough. The applying of Jesus's blood to your life is a miracle, but it's not external enough. The overlooking of all of the things that you were is a miracle, but that's not miracle enough. It's not enough for you. I beg to differ with this point. Not coming down on you. Those of us who know me, I'm not coming down on you, Sheila. In order for a miracle to happen, you have to believe no matter what. No, 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 no. Show me where it says that. Show me where it says that. He does stuff for me when I don't even believe that he would. He does stuff, extremely ridiculous things, without me having a single bit of belief that he could do it. That part I know for a fact because that part I have lived. That part I have lived. That when I was in a location that I should not have been given any sort of attention or miracle, he performed them. And I had zero faith in him. I had zero trust in him. But it was the most impactful because I knew I had zero faith in him. I knew of him. Went to church all my life. Wasn't following him though. And he does stuff all the time without my faith. He will gladly step in to prove that I know nothing and that I have no power over the situation over and over and over and over again. A miracle to me, and a miracle only has value if you know the one performing it. A miracle only has that kind of power if you know the one performing it. And what you look for, some people may not look for. Here's a miracle. My son, on New Year's Eve, telling me that his New Year's goal is to get to know God better. That is a miracle to me. That's a miracle to me. When my son, who had been rebellious for so long, encounters God and comes to us without any, just no motivation from us, says, my goal this year is to make sure I focus on what I need to focus on and to find a deeper relationship with God. That's a miracle. I don't need to see his arm regrown. I don't need to see a fingernail replaced. I don't need to see a tumor removed from his head. He wants to find God more real. That's enough miracle for me. Here's another miracle. Yesterday, we had Monica in the chat. The miracle is that she didn't want and had not tuned into the show before that point and was meaning to. We just happened to be talking and in a position where she could be addressed. She had been asking questions. People just happened to notice her specific question just because there are tons of questions in the chat, tons. Hers, that was a miracle. There are tons of things that happen that we don't call what it actually is. Because in our world, the definition of the thing that people call it didn't fit. I talked to you about a couple here in town, our now former worship minister and his wife. And I told you that his wife is ill. She has a really rare form of cancer. I think only 3% or 2% of America ever has it. The expectation by the doctors is that it's not going to end well. She has only a few good years left, if that. Okay. and the therapy isn't working, chemo, all that stuff, the man-made stuff isn't working. It's not. So they decided to stop. They stopped all of the treatments. The difference between them and I think most people, and this is what I really commend them for, and I hope one day they can get to be on here, is that their belief that God has a plan and an answer somewhere, even if that answer is she's no longer here, they are okay with it. And here's why. This is why. Because ultimately, God is in control, period. I don't think I've ever seen a couple so driven by not faith necessarily, but the belief that God is in all and overall. And regardless of what we see happen on the physical plane, it does not, I repeat, does not change who he is or reflect on him in any negative way. They are convinced and sold out on that. And she can still have all the joy, all of it. Earthly worry, of course, they have kids. They were not going to shy away from that statement at all. But worry, they don't have it. I have never seen anything like this. Outside of Andrea, I have not seen this. But that is a miracle. A miracle isn't always a healing. A miracle is not always the healing. The miracle is your constant belief that he is who he says he is, regardless of what's happening. That too is a miracle. But we don't like to see it like that. We have to have miracles defined the way we want miracles to define. You know what? I have to get my arm regrown, and I have to have my cancer removed, and I have to have my back healed, and I have to have my migraines removed, and I have to have all this. I don't have to. I don't have to. I exchanged my old dead life for the miraculous life of Jesus Christ. That's all the miracle. If I have nothing else past that point, that is all that matters. I don't, I could break my leg off tomorrow, shatter my femur, become a quadriplegic. I could have cancer all at the same time, all in one fell swoop. Just wake up tomorrow and all that's the case. And I could not be healed and it would still be a miracle because I have the miracle. I have the miracle. A lot of people think that is just too fantastical. You're overzealous. You're a super Christian kind of thing. Let me ask a question. Did he call you to be a mediocre one? Did he save you to be a half on, half off Christian? Is there any other kind of Christian than a super Christian? Let me ask that. That's a better question. Is there any other real type of Christian than a super Christian? Because what has to happen for you to become a Christian? Let's break this down for a quick second to see if just being a Christian isn't a miracle. What has to happen for you to be a Christian? You have to realize what you actually are before God. You have to acknowledge that you can't be in God's presence as you are. You then have to give up all of your old and exchange all of that in death for the new. And then you have to live your life through the power of Christ till the day you die. That has to happen to be a Christian. And then you have to walk the rest of your life dependent 100% on God. That's a miracle. So, what does it take to be a Christian? Is that not super? You're telling me that a Christian can be a Christian in just statement only. I'm a Christian. Well, how does that look for you? Well, I try to do good, and I I don't do this and I don't do that, and when I make a mistake, I say sorry and I move on, and I know I'll keep making mistakes and I'll move on, and I'll keep making mistakes and I'll have to keep asking for forgiveness and I'll keep sinning, but that's a that's how you want to live your life, knowing what he gave up. We talked yesterday, just yesterday, in graphic detail about the flogging he endured. Just this morning, I was watching a short on YouTube, and any of you who know the comedian Eddie Griffith, that idiot, because he's a true fool. And when I say there's some dumb people on earth, he's one of the dumbest of the dumb of the dumb of the dumb. I have heard stupid people before, but he takes the cake and he runs down the hall with it with a fork in the cake and falls. That's how dumb he is. He said, if y'all believed in this Jesus thing, I don't know how y'all could be that crazy. He's supposed to be this man that walked on water. He just died from 3 nails. 3 nails killed this N-word. No, Eddie. 3 nails didn't kill him. But I get why you want to attribute 3 nails to killing him, because you don't believe that he was actually who he says he was. You prefer to think of yourself as God. Typical atheist. I know niggas that got shot 27 times and didn't die. 3 nails? 3 nails. How about this, Eddie? How about this? How about we put you through what Jesus went through and you live? How about that? How about you sign up, since you a real N word? You sign up for everything that Jesus went through. You take the same flogging. I want you to fully endure it. Take the same flogging, same bloss, all of it. Take it all. Then take the 3 nails and tell me what you feel like. Since you want to run that big hole in your face. But it's a typical atheist response to anything godly. You see, we have this tendency to place on God the parameters of man. And when that parameter fails, he's no longer God. Which is why you get questions like, does he still do miracles? And why doesn't he just heal? And why doesn't he heal? And why doesn't he? And why? You put your parameters of man on God. And when it doesn't happen, it's God's fault. You're not looking for a miracle to prove God to you. You're not. Because even if he showed himself to you in physical form, you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't even go to the point of Thomas. You wouldn't. Do miracles still happen every day? Every day is a miracle, but you just may not see it. You just don't want to see what he calls a miracle. The sun shining on the just and the unjust, miracle. Rain, just and unjust, miracle. Childbirth, miracle. The functioning of the brain, miracle. No one can still, and I talked about this, no one can explain to me how the brain works, how you can translate a thought into electrical pulses, how you can even translate feelings into chemicals. They can't explain it. Miracle. Science has all the answers and still can't explain that. They can't even explain how the human eye really 100% functions. Miracle. Remember, the definition is an event that appears inexplicable by the laws of nature. Miracles. People falling from heights, unbelievable heights, and living. Miracle. You getting a job that you're not qualified for. Miracle. Money arriving just when you need it without any idea how it got. And just like that, StreamYard kicked me out, but I'm back. That was not a miracle. That was funny. StreamYard don't want me continuing talking about miracles. It's all miracles. What we want, though, is for our measure of God to be proven to us, or we won't believe God. And every time he proves it to that method, we push the goalpost a little further. Time he proves himself to the level we say, well, what about that? And what about that? And what about that? Because you honestly just don't want to believe God is who he says he is. That's the ultimate thing. You ask for the most impossible because in your mind, you can't see it taking place. And even if it does take place, oh, I can explain it with something else. Now do that. You see why he doesn't try to chase you with miracles? You see why he won't chase mankind with miraculous healings and people walking around the place? You know why he doesn't do that? It's a waste of time. Because mankind is not interested in seeing God, they're interested in themselves being it. The questions that they have, the reasoning, has nothing to do with wanting the Father. It has everything to do with them believing that they can manipulate and control who God is. That's the whole atheist perspective. The entirety of the atheist perspective and the agnostic perspective and the Satanist perspective is they really want to be able to control who and what God is. And when they can't do that, he doesn't exist or he doesn't care. That's in a nutshell. Which is why he doesn't waste his time parading and flooding the whole world with useless, pointless examples of what he could do. Because everyday miracles they don't see. They don't see it. They don't want to see it. They don't want to see it. I saw a comment here. I want to go back and make sure I didn't miss us first part of it. Do you have pain where you can't open the doorknob, when you can't pick up a penny, when you can't put clothes on, you can't put your arm deodorant on, and you can't raise yourself? 70s too young. And I'm not complaining. Remember that just stating facts of existence that some have to deal with. Um, yes, and I have to deal with that myself. He's still a miracle worker. I'll show you something. You ready for this? This arm, I had shoulder surgery, right? I can go straight up with it. This arm, I had shoulder surgery on. That's as high as it goes. That's as high as it goes. It's a frozen shoulder. To get it up, I have to relocate it to that area, push it to that point, and then that's as high as it goes. Then to get it to that other point, I have to relocate it to get it up. Okay, and coming down, it locks there, and I have to bring it back to get it down. I can't reach behind my head with this hand, and I can't reach up my back with that hand. It hurts. It physically hurts. So trust me, Jimmy, I fully understand the limitations of a body. I do understand. But I am an internal miracle for him saving me. And this, while it might be a limitation for some, it is what it is. It is what it is. You know, you got to turn your body like that to look this way, because you got to turn your whole body to look that way. It hurts. I look. It's not even something I complain about, because it is what it is. I don't care if the healing takes place or doesn't take place, or whatever he deems necessary for my body to go through. I will go through. I don't care. I really don't care. The pain is there. I can't avoid that, and I'm dealing with it. But it's not my entirety, and it's not my story. It is what I have to deal with, but it is not who I am in Christ. I am not the crippled Christian. I am quite capable in the spirit. I'm quite capable. I myself am a miracle. No, I don't take painkillers because they don't work. They don't work. Trust me, I've tried. I have tried Oxy and all that stuff. It doesn't do anything for the pain. My body's different. And I think he built it that way for me to be exactly of the mindset I am. He has showed me over and over and over that a man's solution will never change him. And he's also showed me that my body that he created can't be touched by human means unless he wants it, unless he wills it, which is why I'm not worried about it, because whenever he decides to do something, he going to do it. I have left it completely open to whatever he feels like doing, he can do. I don't put my limitations on him. I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying he will. I am saying whatever can, will, want, when, I don't care. Whatever he has to do, he going to do in his time. He going to do it in his time. My goal, my purpose is to release all things to his control, period. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. So, does God still do miracles today? Yeah, all the time. And you are one. So, maybe, just maybe, start looking at miracles differently. Just maybe. You might have a brand new perspective on God, not just miracles, when you change your perspective. Tomorrow is going to be the one that apparently is controversial on Facebook. What is the significance of the foreskin? I picked a topic because it was just so odd that people found a problem with that. So here's the description of the person asking the question. Why did God try to kill Moses? Did he though? Anyway, why did God try to kill Moses right after sending him on a mission to free the Jews from Egypt? And then why did a foreskin ectomy by Moses' wife stop him? For that matter, what's with God's obsession with foreskin? Isn't God supposed to be a perfect being? Why would a perfect being design men with foreskins, then command us to cut it off? Not to mention that the creator and ruler of the universe should have more important things to worry about. Okay. So we're we're going to tackle that tomorrow. If you want a reference to what they're talking about, go to Exodus 4:24 and 26. I would suggest you read all of Exodus 4. Don't read Exodus 4:24 through 26. Read Exodus 4. Read the whole of Exodus 4 for tomorrow. Read the whole of Exodus 4. I tell you, man, some of these questions. Anyway, but I feel like I have to answer it. So enjoy, enjoy that reading. um, oh my goodness gracious. Exodus 4, please. Exodus 4. Okay. Just read up on that. And then when we come tomorrow, we'll talk about Exodus 4 and God killing Moses. That's whew, I tell you what. Anyway, um, y'all have a grand rest of the day. I'm off to my doctor's appointment. Um, I should have my schedule for next week before the day's end. Um, I have a couple of inboxes about suggestions, but nothing that jumped out yet. So if you have any ideas, concepts, stories, things that you want me to cover, talk about, give my 2 cents on, you can inbox me at straighttalkmb@outlook.com. Feel free to do that. Um, if you want to, I'll put it here so you have it. Want to make sure you have that email. All right. There's the email there. If you have suggestions, if you have questions, I reply. I don't know if I need surgery yet. Need is a loaded word. If they suggest surgery, that's one thing. I don't think I'll ever need surgery again. I've done surgery enough. I've had 6 of them already on this body of mine. I don't think I'll ever use the word need or even want surgery anymore. I'm tired of surgery. I am tired of being cut up. I'm just tired of it. So need is loaded. They may suggest it, but I don't think that I will take it because the procedure that they want to do, I don't think I want it. So I'm just waiting to see what they suggest. And then based on what they suggest, I'll still do what I want anyway. Until he has me and tells me directly, and he knows how to do that. He knows how to directly tell me something to do. I'll wait. So we'll see. I'll wait to get his approval. I'll submit it to HR and see what HR tells me about surgery. That's the best answer I could give you. So yeah, there's the email. If you have questions, if you have suggestions, show ideas, email me there. Straight talk. It should be 2 T's, by the way. Sorry. I just realized something. I put only 1 T. Let me edit this real quick. Save. All right, there we go. Straight talk, MB, 2 T's. Okay, straight talk MB@outlook.com. Feel free to send the inbox there, and I'll be looking for it. Tomorrow, forced connectomy. And why God wanted to kill Moses, I guess. I don't know. But we'll chat tomorrow. I will put an update on my YouTube page and possibly on the Facebook page and stuff if I have something of value to report. Otherwise, you'll hear about the doctor's appointment tomorrow morning during the show. Okay? Thank you for all the prayers and concerns, too. It's very, very appreciated. But like I said, the healing part of it, in his time. I've asked for it, and he has an answer somewhere, and he'll tell me when and how. I'm not concerned. Wisdom calls to you from the street. Please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself and know